All right, this upcoming weekend is a pretty big fight in the world of MMA, the rematch between Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili. Now, I must say off the bat that this is a pretty controversial rematch because over the past year or, 12 to 18 months, we've seen a pretty big uptick in some kind of strange matchmaking going on in the UFC. Now, weird matchups in the UFC isn't necessarily anything new, but it reminds me of that time that Colby Covington was the backup fighter, and then according to Dana White was then given a title shot due to being the backup fighter. And then of course it was the whole Bo Nickal debacle where he went up against a double champion in another organization and got TKO'd in the second round. And look, I don't mean to make it sound like it's a bad thing to put an up-and-coming star in a situation where hopefully he'll shine and hopefully he can find his way to the title. But if you watch my video about that fight, you would know that I think that matchup made literally no sense. I think that matchup really only served the purpose of ideally getting Bo a victory and catapulting him into the top 10, while at the time not being ranked and having not beaten anyone who is ranked. And now with this weekend's upcoming rematch of Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili, we are in a situation where Merab, coming off of a dominant performance over the boogeyman in Umar Nurmagomedov, and Sean O'Malley is coming off of getting dominated by Merab and is going straight into a title shot despite only defending his belt one time. Now, the reason I brought up these three seemingly very different scenarios is because there is one through line that connects them all. And it's that these are all situations where Dana is pretty clearly trying to make sure that the fighter that he favors the most is then given a more quick, fast, and direct route to fighting for and ideally becoming the champion. And the other thing that connects these situations is that in the case of Colby Covington and in the case of Bo Nickal, these guys went out there and got absolutely handled. Yeah, it's almost like there was a reason that they didn't deserve this title shot. And in the case of Bo Nickal, I mean, the guy had 7 MMA fights and went up against a guy who, again, was a double champion in ONE FC. And now with Sean O'Malley, who up to this point has not proven his ability as a grappler inside of the octagon, is rematching the guy who completely and totally dominated him in the wrestling without any fight in between. I really don't know what you're going to look at to say that this outcome is going to be any different than the first time. And I wonder if, assuming this fight doesn't go O'Malley's way, if Dana is going to potentially change his approach to trying to manufacture a superstar. And I know earlier I said that this was something I've noticed over the past 12 to 18 months, but in all honesty, this is something that's been going on for quite a while now. I'm sure any longtime UFC fans can remember the Sage Northcutt experiment where Dana saw a young guy who looked the part, seemingly had all the skill in the world, was very young, could have potentially, theoretically, been the next face of the UFC, but was pushed way too hard, way too fast, and ultimately was never able to take over as the new face of the UFC and is no longer even fighting in the UFC. Now, all that being said, I actually do think, and I know this sounds a little crazy, O'Malley really truly does have a chance in this fight against Merab. Another thing that everybody remembers about this fight most is the fact that Merab just kind of dominated the wrestling exchanges for the entire 5 rounds. But at the end of the day, O'Malley was able to make it to the distance, which might say something about Merab's inability to get someone like Sean O'Malley out of there. Now, I'm not a hardcore Sean O'Malley hater. I actually think he is a very good fighter and a very entertaining fighter. And for a while, he's been talking about how his jiu-jitsu is just so good and no one's going to expect it. No one's going to see it coming. But we saw him in this fight get put on the ground over and over again. And while at times maybe he was able to retain a guard, he was not at all able to throw up any slick submissions and put Merab in any danger when it comes to the grappling. Also, why the hell did they fight on Mexican Independence Day? Now, near the end of this one, O'Malley was able to kind of get away from some of the takedowns. And then, of course, who could forget when he was able to land that front kick up the middle, actually hurting Merab, forcing Merab to kind of take it a little easy and more or less just kind of stay on the bike for the remainder of the round. And look, at the end of the day, O'Malley lost the fight. I know he's gone out and talked about how he still believes that he won this fight, which is absolutely fucking insane. But I do think there's something to be said about the guy's resolve. At the end of the day, he got absolutely manhandled and still was able to, when he was on the feet, try to find some way to get the job done up until the final bell. So the guy is no quitter by any means. And he's now proven, if to no one else, to himself, that he has the ability to hurt Merab. And he proved that he has the ability to survive the grappling, even if he's not able to necessarily thrive there. So I do think O'Malley has a couple of things going for him in this one. He has things that he can pull from and find confidence in. And it's these kind of situations where we find out what a guy is truly made of. So if he's truly been working hard to shore up those holes in his game the way that he says, I think it is possible that we see maybe a different game plan, maybe a more calculated game plan where he is very specific in his approach in terms of the exact shots he's looking to land, and he could make something crazy happen. And then from Merab's side, I think Merab has a lot to prove. I think that Merab in this rematch is going to want to get the job done early. I think Merab's going to want to prove that he's not just a lay and pray guy, that he really has the ability to finish one of the top guys in O'Malley. So final prediction, I have no idea at all whatsoever. I actually think this is a good fight. I think you have to go with Merab as the favorite, but I think that this is going to be somewhat competitive. And with both guys, you already know what the general game plan is going to be. O'Malley's going to want to strike. Merab's going to want to wrestle. I think the difference maker in this one is going to be who's able to mix it up and catch the other guy off guard. If O'Malley is half the grappler that he says he is, it's possible that he's able to put Merab in a little bit of danger, make him question how badly he wants to go to the ground. And if Merab is able to use the threat of the takedown to open some strikes up on the feet, I think he could also surprise O'Malley. So at the end of the day, I actually do think this is a good fight, and I think that both guys have a lot to prove in this one. And look, with an O'Malley loss in this one, especially if it's a finish, there's no more throwing up the O when they announce his record. And if I'm Dana White, this is now yet another attempt at a manufactured superstar, assuming O'Malley loses, that felt completely flat. And I think that Dana's going to have to reevaluate his approach to finding a new superstar in the UFC. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Who do you guys think is going to take this fight? And yeah, thanks for watching.